Hey guys, what's going on? My name's Tyler McNabb, and this is my 400EX. So as you can see, and probably as you know from the last video, we got the old 400 to a rolling chassis. So got all the suspension buttoned up, got the spindles on, got the rear axle assembled and in, got the rear shock in, got the tires on, and we're just able to create us a rolling chassis. So that was last video. So this video we are going to be focusing on the power plant. So I've got the motor sitting over here. As I've said in past videos, didn't tear it down or anything. I don't believe it needs it, not anytime super soon anyway. So went ahead, left it as it is. It was running great when we took it out, so just going to keep running it. So I got it cleaned up in a previous video, and so it should be ready to put in. So that's what we're gonna do. Focus on this video, get the engine in, get it bolted in, and then from there I'll probably start messing with the wiring harness, getting the wiring harness routed and secured and all that stuff, and then maybe put some other accessories on like the oil tank and oil cooler and all that fun stuff. Basically get this thing ready to where maybe we can get it running in the next video or so. So anyway, yeah, that's pretty much what we're gonna be doing in this video. So yeah, there's really not much more to do other than to get to it. I guess I will state that as you probably know, on the 400EXs, the rear engine mount that we have right here, the swing arm bolt goes through that. So the first thing I'll need to do is I'll probably jack this thing up, maybe set it on a set of jack stands, and then I will slide this swing arm pivot bearing or swing arm pivot bolt out, slide that out, set the motor in, get it all adjusted, then I can go ahead and slide the pivot bolt back in, and that'll be the first thing I do, just to get that in there. So as I said before, I got a Greasable swing arm pivot bearing. Gland Innovations is the one who makes it. So great product. I've never personally used one, but I know a lot of people who do, and a lot of people know that these 400EXs are known for the bad for the pivot bearings or pivot bolt. I don't know why I keep saying bearings. The pivot bolt that gets it'll seize up in there from lack of grease and just dirt and grime build up and rust, and it'll get seized. Usually where it gets seized is there in the motor. So I'm gonna make sure I get this thing good and greased up before I put it in, as well as then once I do get it in, I'll use this helpful grease zert that they put in, and it'll fill the bolt full of grease. And there's holes in basically in this area of the swing arm and this area as well, where that grease comes out of the bolt and it lubricates the bearings. I already greased a lot of that stuff before I put it together, but you know, in reality you really can't have too much grease. I guess you can if you're like busting seals and stuff, but for the most part you really can't have too much grease. So anyway, I'll quit yapping. Let's go ahead. Gonna grab the engine, get this thing jacked up, and get it in the quad. So let's get to it. Okay guys, ended up getting the swing arm bolt, pivot bolt in. As you saw by the time lapse how long it took, I was struggling a little bit, but I mean that's just because I was doing it by myself. If you have 2 people, it probably would have went 10 times smoother. So anyway, it really wasn't that bad though, just a little tricky. So got it out initially, got it all greased up. Got my grease gun, totally filled the swing arm pivot bolt with grease, and then slid it back in, got the engine lined up, slid that through, and then got this guy lined up and slid it all the way through. And then this one, unlike the standard, the OEM bolt is I guess drilled for a little cotter pin, so, and it's got a castle nut on it, so I got that good and torqued down. I just kind of hit it pretty hard with the impact. There's probably a torque spec for this, but I didn't really use it. Like I said, I just torqued it down pretty good with the impact, and then slid the cotter pin through. So got that all good and ready to go. So next thing I'm going to do is I got the rest of the engine mount bolts. So we got the top one. We got these right here that have the engine mounts that go from here to here, and then there's one down to here that goes through there. So I went ahead and, you know, since I'm totally doing everything, I went ahead, I put these on the old bench grinder wire wheel. Got these a lot cleaner than they were. They probably looked like this hose, nice and dirty, and now they look pretty good. I wouldn't say they're polished, but they're just a lot cleaner than they were. So I did the bolt and everything, so hopefully it won't look, you know, too disgusting when I'm putting all this back together, because, you know, I could go through and get like a hardware kit or something, but that's like $200 and some to get like a full replacement bolt set for one of these. And maybe someday I'll do that, maybe next year or something, but for now it's not really in the budget with all the other money. So figure I'll just polish up the old bolts as much as I can. So anyway, I'll quit yapping, and we'll get those bolts in as well. So let's do it. Got all the engine mount bolts in. Here we got the top one. I'm glad I cleaned those up. Those look a lot better than if they were nice and dirty or something. So I've got those. You may be thinking, Tyler, what the heck were you doing? You were holding a set of pliers down in here when you're tightening these, but those are a captured nut. So what the heck are you doing? Well, it just so happens that the welds broke on those a while back, and I just, for some reason, never took the time to just put a couple tack welds on it. And so when I took it apart, it was like it was, and I just never, you know, took the time to tack weld it back on and be fine with it. So, yeah, so now I'm stuck using a set of pliers to hold it while I tighten the bolts. But, you know, it's not a big deal. It's just something small. It kind of sticks out if you really look, because it's not powder coated black. But hey, you know, this quad ain't perfect. So anyway, got the engine all mounted in, and so the next step I'm probably going to take is putting the wiring harness back on. First thing I may do, I may go ahead and put like the battery box and the starter relay holder and that stuff back on, because I'm going to need that so I can get the battery back in and all that fun stuff, and then start running the wiring harness, trying to remember where it all went, because this is my first time, like I said, ever taking this down to a frame. Luckily, the 400s are really simple. I mean, they've just got the one wiring harness, and there really isn't much other than, you know, you've got wires going to the CDI, you've got wires that normally go to the headlights. For me, they're going to the fan. You've got wires that go off, break off to the coil, and then the spark plug to give it spark, and then you've got wires going to the stator as well. But so really there isn't a whole lot wiring wise with these. It's probably one of the simpler, other than like a two-stroke. The two-stroke's probably the simplest thing to wire. But anyway, yeah, this is probably one of the simplest 4-stroke quads that you can wire up. But like I said, never done it, so it's a little intimidating. But I'm gonna go ahead and get as much as I can of that done this evening. So maybe by the time I do that, I can start maybe putting the oil tank and the oil cooler back on and all that stuff, and then getting this thing possibly ready to start maybe in this video. I don't know, we'll see. But anyway, I'll quit rambling, and let's jump into trying to get this wiring harness on. Okay guys, well, I got this thing pretty well wired up, you know. Still have some loose ends to tie up every here and there. I haven't like permanently done stuff like I'm gonna put zip ties around these guys and all that fun stuff, and do a lot of zip tying and stuff back here and a lot of stuff up here, and then I haven't, you know, since I don't have my steering stem or handlebars, I got the start switch hanging down, and also got the kill switch just chilling down here and that kind of stuff. So as well as I've still got my fan wiring chilling right here, and then the coil's all bolted up, but then I just got to put the plug back in. So anyway, it's pretty well wired up. It ended up not being as bad as I thought it was going to be. So I got the positive terminal here, and yeah, and then I do need to go ahead. I need to get the negative. I need to get the negative battery terminal hooked up as well. I've got a cable over there that I can try to hook up, but haven't messed with it yet. But anyway, so pretty well got it wired up. I'm not gonna do everything permanent yet, just because I don't remember 100% where everything went. I think everything is back in the location that it's supposed to be, but I don't want to go and do some permanent stuff, and then when I go to put stuff back together, there ends up being an issue with you know, something wired the wrong way or in the wrong place where it's not supposed to be, so it's interfering with something else. So I'm just going to go ahead and leave that for now. And next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead, and so I can get that fan plugged in, I'm going to get the oil cooler on and oil tank. I'm going to try to do both of those. So yeah, I'll probably go through a little bit showing you putting my fans set up together, just because when I originally did that was before I really had a YouTube channel and stuff. So I'll kind of just walk you through the setup, and pretty much show you just like the custom bracket and stuff I made. So let's get to that real quick. Okay, so as you can see here, I've got a brand new oil cooler. I went ahead and ordered one. Thought might as well. My old one had some bent fins and stuff, so I figured I'd go ahead and order a new one. Normally, I was kind of afraid to look because you know, Honda's the only one that makes this. It's just OEM. You can't buy aftermarket or anything. So I went to look, and normally, you know, if you go to look and buy Honda parts, they're usually really expensive. I'm not sure why, but a lot of times they are. So I figured this would be 150, 200 bucks, but ended up only being like 75 bucks. So relatively speaking, not too bad. So went ahead and picked up a new oil cooler. Here I've got a 4-inch spall fan. I'll show you here, if you guys can see that, SPAL. If you Google 4-inch spall fan, which is literally what I did to find it, it'll pop up like first thing. And I bought mine off Amazon for like 50 bucks. And yeah, shipped it right to the house. So overall, they're really good fans. They're waterproof and everything. And I mean, this has gone through about a year or more of racing and riding. Actually, it's probably been close to maybe a year and a half, couple years of racing and riding. So, and I mean, it's done me well. It clicks on every time I send it power, and pretty much all I did was I ended up wiring mine into the headlight assembly, because with my aftermarket hood, I don't have headlights anymore. And so I just wired mine into the headlight switch. That way I didn't need to buy a other switch and mount it somewhere. So I've got this wired into the headlights. All I do is I turn on the headlights and the fan comes on. So pretty simple. I've just got these wired to where the ground bolts to the frame, and then this guy plugs into the headlight wire. Simple as that. And then I'll show you, I guess the first thing I need to do is I've got these new rubber grommets. So those guys, I need to put these guys in. There we go. Got one of them, and let me do the other one. there we go. So that was kind of a pain, but I mean, what do you expect? Trying to fit these stiff rubber grommets into relatively small holes. So anyway, got those in there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and try to get this fan mounted up. So first thing I need to do is slide these guys in. So there's the first one, and the other one's gonna go on this side. So got that. And then I'm going to take, all I did to mount this is, this has 4 mounting holes, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so I just took a piece of all thread, 1/4-20 all thread, and I bent it into the shape of a U, so that way it kind of acts as a bracket that slides around this. So, and then I had a little piece of aluminum angle that I kind of cut and fabbed up and just kind of slowly fitted up until it basically fit. And then, yeah, I mean, it was a lot of trial and error. I remember that day, just basically what I would do is I would kind of set it up there, make some marks with a marker, take a cutoff wheel and a Dremel and start going to town, trimming and everything. And then I would try to fit it up. If it would hit, I would trim some more, and basically just did that until it fit, didn't interfere with anything, and all that fun stuff. So now I'll show you just how this thing mounts up real quick, and then yeah, then hopefully I'll get this mounted up, and then we can get it mounted up on the quad as well. So let's do it. So there you have it, a complete fan setup. So as you can see, we got the oil cooler, we have the the pieces of all thread, we've got the bracket that I built. That bracket sits on the edge of the oil cooler, and then to kind of support it up here, I made these tiny little spacers to go between it and the oil cooler mounts. And so this bracket sits on here, and then that bracket supports the fan with the pieces of all thread, the U's, and is held on by some locking nuts. So this is solid, it's not gonna go anywhere. And then this guy will bolt onto the frame, and it'll sit just like this. It'll plug in there, and then when I turn the switch on, it's gonna suck air through this oil cooler. So basically it would be like, if I was sitting still, it would actually be like, you know, I was probably going, you know, running 30 miles an hour with air flying through this oil cooler. So that's why these fans, if you're familiar with the 400EXs, you're familiar that a lot of people have started putting fans on the oil coolers. And that is why, because it basically, you know, it pulls so much more air through this, and it's able to cool the oil a lot more. And my 400, my particular 400, it'll run about 40 degrees cooler Fahrenheit. That oil temperature will, on an average basis. So as you can guess, this guy is very important. So yeah, only thing left to do here is I'm gonna go ahead and get this thing mounted. So I'll switch over to the quad real quick, and it really isn't too hard to bolt. All we got to do is run these 2 bolts in. So let's do that real quick. Okay guys, well, finished up, got the oil cooler installed, got the oil tank all installed, all that fun stuff. As you can see, got our fan sitting right back here. And another benefit I forgot to mention too is, you know, it's pulling air through the front, but it's also, when it's pulling that air through, it's also blowing air over the engine. And so, as you know, or may or may not know, the 400EX is an air-cooled engine, which is why it's got these fins. And so the way it cools is by air movement across these fins. And so that's also another benefit of these fans, is you're actually blowing more air across the engine to kind of cool it and stuff. So got all that set up, got all the oil lines attached, all that fun stuff, going down here to the engine and everything. So this thing is pretty much, in terms of engine, like pretty much ready to go. I'll have to get the carburetor and all that stuff installed, but that's probably going to be our next video. So yeah, I'm probably going to go ahead end this video off here. Yeah, got a good bit accomplished in this video. It didn't seem like a lot when I was doing it, but it actually ended up being quite a bit. So got the engine, got all the wiring harness, got the oil cooling system all installed, and yeah, this 400 should be good and ready to go. So hope you guys are enjoying the build series. I'm enjoying it so far, putting it back together, my first time doing it, and so far I like it. So hopefully you guys are enjoying it as well. Once again, I want to thank you guys coming back, watching the channel. I really do appreciate it, because without you guys, it wouldn't be as fun making the videos. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.